Hi and welcome, and in this video we're going to discuss the IELTS Writing Task 1 question that appeared in the October 25th exam. So yes, what was the question for Task 1? Was it a line graph? Was it a bar chart? A pie diagram? Was it a table? Maybe a map? Or was it a process diagram? Well, the question on October 25th was a process diagram. Yes, let's have a look at the question. So this is the question that appeared on 25th of October. The diagrams below show the process of preparing raw materials for ceramic tiles and the steps involved in manufacturing them. So this was the question. It shows the process of preparing raw materials for ceramic tiles and also the manufacturing of these tiles. Well, yes, so can you make a guess? Would they have been two processes or just one whole big process showing the production of ceramic tiles? Let's find out. Yes, here we have the image, the process, along with this question. You can clearly see the different steps or the stages, right? And now it is clear that in real, it was two process diagrams that happened in the exam, right? We have the raw materials preparation, and we also have, using the raw material, the preparation of the ceramic tiles. Now let's understand how we should be answering this question. Okay, so let's pick this first step in the preparation of raw materials. Okay, we're not going to look at anything. Now remember, the tip to easily be able to describe a process diagram is to imagine the entire process. Now you might be wondering, what do you mean by imagining the process? Don't worry, I'll show you how you can actually imagine it. Let's bring the mixer grinder first. Okay, now I have this mixer grinder with me, and as per the diagram, what does it say? It says clay, okay, I have clay here, and water. Now both these added into the mixer grinder. Now imagine, clay is added, water is added, and then because it's a mixer grinder, it'll work, right? It'll mix the products that I've just added. Now when clay and water mixes, what happens? Slurry, moist slurry. We know slurry means there's water involved, right? So can you imagine that clay and water mix to form the slurry? Well, that's exactly the first step here. Now, let's take the next step. This is a filter press. Now we have the moist slurry that we've just prepared using the mixer grinder. We take the moist slurry and we ensure that it passes through the filter press. And what happens when it passes through the filter press? Well, you can see that water is removed. Moisture leaves the slurry, right? We've mixed clay and water, so there's water. So as it moves through this filter press, moisture comes out. Great. Now we have something which is more dry than the original form, right? What do I do with this dry form? At this point, I take the third equipment that is there. It's a spray dryer. Now this slurry, the moisture of which was removed through the filter press, is now put into the spray dryer. And you can see there's this rotation happening of the spray dryer. It's like drying out the moisture altogether. So as it moves, it dries out the moisture, and you can see that there's powder that comes out of it. This powder that comes out of it. Now this powder that we have here, okay, let's move it aside and let's take the fourth machine that we can see. This is a tile press. Now this powder is placed into this, and using the press, okay, the tile press that you can see here, this pressure that's applied and this powder is pressed to form the tile, the required shape. A rectangle, a square, okay? So this equipment is used, and now we have the tile that is shaped either as squares or as rectangles as per the instruction given to the tile press. So this is the first step in the preparation of the raw materials that you can see here. So can you see all of it? As you see the image, you should be imagining it this way. Is this imagination helping you? Well, let's try the same with the rest of the process. Now we already have the pressed tile, right? It is in shape. Now we need to ensure that this shape holds. It doesn't change its shape, right? And what is to be done for that? And that's where we look at the tile manufacturing, which is actually the second process that you can see here. So in tile manufacturing, we take the first step, the drying chamber. I have the drying chamber with me, and whatever tile was pressed in the previous process is taken, and you can see that it is neatly arranged in this drying chamber. It is left in this chamber for 1 to 3 days. And what is the temperature? 100 degrees to 200 degrees centigrade. Now once it is left in this drying chamber for 1 to 3 days, we take the next step in the process. Okay, we move it, keep it here. Now this is a glazing machine. Now this dried tile is using the glazing machine coated. There's a coating that is applied. Okay, so it goes through this glazing machine. There's a coat. Do you remember the coat, the white coat that you see on a ceramic tile? Well, yes, that is exactly what happens in this glazing machine. So there's a coat that is applied on top of each tile, and we go to the, where is it? Okay, the last step here. Bring in the last step. We have a kiln here. It's very hot because it is 1000 degrees to 1250 degrees centigrade. So it's under so much of heat and pressure that this glazing coat that's applied and the shape of the tile becomes frozen and ready to be used. So this glazed tile that we have here, which we've just done using the glazing machine, is put in the kiln for 20 to 30 minutes, and the temperature is 1000 degrees to 1250 degrees. It's very hot. And as it is subjected to this heat, after half an hour's time, we have our ceramic tiles ready. So here goes our ceramic tiles. Now that we've imagined the entire process, let's try and draft them. Now let's try and answer this question. Now because it is task 1 and we know we have to write in around 150 words, let's not stop at that. Let's write somewhere between 150 and 180 words. So 150 to 180 words is apt. What is the structure? So we have the introduction as the first paragraph, the overview, the second paragraph, which basically talks about the overall idea that can be seen in the image, body 1 and body 2. So these are the 4 paragraphs that we need in writing task 1. And because this is a process diagram, we'll have the same introduction, overview, body 1 and body 2 as our structure. Now the introduction simply means rewording the question. We have the question on screen now. Let's try rewording this question, right? I'll give you a sentence and see how each of these words given in the sentence is reworded. This is how we can reword it. We begin with this. The process diagrams. Now if the word diagram is already given in the question, I try not to use the same. I can use chart, I can use picture, I can use image. Okay, so here I've chosen to write it as the process diagrams. Remove the word below from the question, we don't need it at all. Shows is given in the question. So for that, we replace it with another word. show. Diagrams, we use the word depict. The process diagrams depict. Now the next bit of the question, we need to reword it completely to form a new sentence. So the process diagram depicts how raw materials are prepared for ceramic tiles. Paraphrase the first part. We write the word and. The next half of the question needs to be paraphrased. And its production into the final form. Okay? So how does this introduction read? The process diagrams depict how raw materials are prepared for ceramic tiles and its production into the final form. What we've done is just rewording the question. Now let's look at the overview. And to understand the overview, we need the diagram again. Let's look at the process diagram. Now, when it is a process diagram, our overview should talk about two things. One, how many stages are there in the process? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. A total of 8. But here we have two different processes, right? So 1, we add the number of stages. 2, we add where the process begins and where it ends. Okay? These are the two aspects you need to include in your overview. Now, keeping this in mind, let's understand how an overview can be written. Let's look at a sample overview. Overall, it is clear that. Overall, it is clear that. Now, what did I say first? Tick. Number of stages. Overall, it is clear that there are 4 stages each in the preparation and production of ceramic tiles. Overall, it is clear that there are 4 stages each in the preparation and production of ceramic tiles. Full stop. Okay, so I've spoken about the total number of stages. Number 2, check. What else should I write? I should say where the process begins and where it ends. So here goes my next sentence. The production starts with the mixing of clay and water, which are the raw materials, and ends at the final glazed ceramic tiles. So this is how my entire overview would read. Overall, it is clear that there are 4 stages each in the preparation and production of ceramic tiles. Full stop. The production starts with mixing clay and water, which are the raw materials, and ends at the final glazed ceramic tiles. Now comes the body paragraphs. So let's see how we can come up with body paragraphs. Now, because there are 2 processes given, the first process in the question should be answered in body 1. So let's just look at the first process. Okay, we have those 4 stages, raw materials. Now, you need to show connection from one stage to the other. So you need to add words like first, or let's say next, later, then, after that. So make sure you use these words that are required. So let me show you some words that I plan to use. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so here goes the words that I plan to use in writing this body paragraph. Now let's try and write sentences. Now, one is you need to use these transition markers that I've just written on top. And number 2 is we use the passive construction. Passive voice in sentence construction, because here in a process diagram, we're not focusing on who does the action, we're focusing on what the action is. And in the present tense. So we say is past, are mixed, not was. Don't describe in the past. Alright? Let's see a sample. Look at the sentence that I'm writing here. In the preparation stage, comma, clay and water are mixed in a huge mixer grinder. Okay? So I've used words that I can see in the question. In the preparation stage is what I've used. I can also use first. Okay? It's up to you. Full stop. The next sentence. The process creates a slurry. Full stop. The next sentence. The process creates a slurry. Full stop. Now I'm connecting it to the previous step to explain the next stage, okay? The prepared slurry is then sent through a filter press to remove moisture. Then I move on to the next step. So what word have I used? In the next step. In the next step, it is subjected to spray drying, leaving perfectly dried powder. And then the last step in the process. So I'm connecting it to the previous saying. This processed powder, comma, free of any impurities, just an addition there, comma, is pressed into the required shape using a large tile presser. So this is how my entire body 1 will look. Can you see the connection to the diagram? Great. Now let's look at body 2, the last paragraph. So we bring in the second process. So we're looking at the second process, which is using the raw material, which is the pressed tile. How are we making it into ceramic tiles? Let's have a look at it. Okay, now again we have 4 stages here, 4 steps here. So let's decide on the words to add in between these. Okay. Can you see the words that I'm using to connect the sentences? Now let's see how it is done. The pressed and shaped tiles in the manufacturing process is first dried in a chamber at 100 to 200 degrees centigrade. Now because the duration is given, we write a sentence saying it takes around 1 to 3 days for the process to be complete. Done with step 1. Next, a coating is applied to these chamber dried tiles. How did I connect it to the previous? Chamber dried tiles. A coating is applied to these chamber dried tiles using a glazing machine. Okay, now is the final step. Now what do we have here? We have the glazed or the coated tiles, right? So I add it as these coated tiles are heated. Look at the diagram. Are heated. What is the process happening? They're heated in a kiln for 20 to 30 minutes at high temperatures, reaching 1000 to 1250 degrees centigrade. Full stop. I just need to wind up my paragraph saying this heating creates the final ceramic tiles that are made available in the market. And that completes my answer. So here is a complete look at the answer that we've just drafted. We have the diagram on the top and we have the sample response. Now this sample response that you saw is just one possible way of writing it. You can write an answer for the same question in so many other ways. But I hope this video was useful. We spoke about imagining the entire process, using the right words to show transition from one stage to the other, and writing your response using the passive voice. 4-paragraph structure, a very easy writer for task 1 in your writing. Thank you.